Did you know that Montgomery County is one of only 2 counties in Maryland that has its own consumer protection agency? Find out what it can do for you. The second week of March isn't a particularly eventful week for most people.
Doing work without having a permit.
But for the team at Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection, it's time to rally the forces and show the community what they do.
National Consumer Protection Week is our time to shine. It's our time to tell folks we are here, let them know how we can help them, and hopefully solve their problems.
What did you learn?
That we have government support the consumers and protect the consumers. So we are now more competent in the future that if we encounter some injustice with a contractor or sales people or company, that we have a place to ask for advice and justice.
The more consumers can know about the economy, the marketplace, what they should do about money, the more likelihood they're not going to run into a problem. You came to the right place.
Awesome.
Eric Friedman is the director of the Office of Consumer Protection. His nationally recognized agency is known for its competence, experience, and achievements. Serving a county with almost 1 million people, OCP is responsible for enforcing consumer protection laws that prohibit unfair and deceptive business practices to protect consumers, as well as help local merchants compete fairly. Ensuring integrity in the marketplace is its motto, and the office brings a here-to-help philosophy to its services.
I'm a small business owner in Montgomery County. When I had a dispute with a vendor a few months ago, I went to the Office of Consumer Protection, and Investigator Bailey walked me through the process and resolved my problem.
And as convoluted as that was worded, there was something wrong.
Well, about a year ago, I had given my furniture for upholstery with the merchant, and when the time came for him to deliver it, there was no sign of him. I tried contacting him through phone, various phone messages, left various phone messages with him, no response, wrote a letter, no response, visited him at his warehouse, and still no idea where he was. And I came and filed a petition against him saying, you know, I need my things back. And they took it over from there, and they were very persistent with the merchant, and they also kept me informed as to what's going on. So that gave me hope that one day I'll see my furniture. And so finally I got back all the things that I had given to the merchant, and they were very helpful, and I'm very happy with their services, and I would highly recommend them.
Each year, OCP investigates and resolves thousands of consumer complaints, including retail sales, new home construction, home improvements, automotive sales and repairs, towing services, credit and financial issues, and internet scams.
We can tell if we've had complaints.
For example, recently the office investigated several deceptive practices that made headlines.
We recently investigated the air duct cleaning business and used a hidden camera to reveal overcharging and deceptive practices with merchants that give you coupons but then charge you a lot more money when they get into your house. After investigating many air duct cleaning companies, we entered into a settlement agreement. Refunds were paid to consumers and civil fines were paid to Montgomery County.
For years I've been getting in these Valpak type of advertising that your ducts could be cleaned for $250. I felt ours needed cleaning as we had had a lot of construction around us and I was concerned about dust. I called them up and they made an appointment to come out. Well, when they left, I had managed to spend over $3,000 because they told me all these problems I had. That I needed a special cleaning, that they thought they saw mold. They just sold me a bill of goods. I cannot believe I was so gullible. Fortunately, I learned a few days after I paid the bill that there was a consumer protection agency in Montgomery County, which we contacted. We spoke to investigator Ralph Vine, who suggested we contact the company and tell them that we feel they had overcharged us and given us many procedures that we didn't really need. Fortunately, my husband took over at that point because I was terribly upset, and lo and behold, we received a very large rebate from the company.
We rescued consumers' clothing from dry cleaners that went out of business. When the sheriff's office told us they were conducting an eviction, we went down to the store, rescued the clothing, brought it back so consumers could retrieve it.
In early January, I believe it was, I left a coat at Shamrock Cleaners. I had a call on my answering machine at home. It was sort of vague, and it was a little hard to understand, but it was, I think, the owner who said something about they were closing and would I come pick up my clothes. Well, by the time I got back the very next day, when I was going to the office, I stopped and there was no one there. No signs, no clothes, no nothing. I received a call from someone, an intern at Consumer Protection, who informed me that they had clothes from Shamrock Cleaners and one of the articles had my name on it, and if I would like to come by, I could pick it up. So, being that it's across the street from my office, I immediately came by, and sure enough, among all those clothes was my coat, and the amazing part was I never expected to get it back, but through the good offices of Consumer Protection, I did.
A few summers ago, we responded to a mini riot that was taking place at a travel agency that had sold bogus tickets to consumers, and when they got to the airport, they couldn't get on the plane and had to come back home. We investigated that case, we chased that merchant into New York City, we served her with papers, and now she owes lots of refunds to consumers.
In addition to its investigative work, Consumer Protection oversees licensing of certain businesses, supervises contracts between domestic employees and employers, mediates disputes within homeowners associations, advocates for improved electricity service, and more. The office, located in Rockville, Maryland, celebrated its 40th year in operation in 2011. It was established in 1971 and was originally called the Office of Consumer Affairs. Today, the Office of Consumer Protection operates within the county's executive branch of government and works with many departments and agencies both at the local, state, and federal level.
Hi, welcome to the Office of Consumer Protection.
At the county level, OCP is grouped with the public safety agencies, the police department,
sold them $2,000 your way, sir,
fire and rescue, and the sheriff's office. But it also supports permitting services, environmental protection, health and human services, public libraries, public schools, the county council, and more. At the state level, the Office of Consumer Protection routinely joins forces with the Maryland Attorney General, the Department of Labor, Licensing and Regulation, and the Maryland Public Service Commission, among others. Federal collaborators include the U.S. Consumer Protection Safety Commission,
break off completely,
the Federal Trade Commission, the FBI, and the U.S. Postal Inspector.
Avoiding these frauds really isn't too difficult. Just follow these tips.
Eric Friedman has worked at OCP for more than 30 years. He leads a group of 16 investigators and administrators. His team, which together has nearly 300 years of experience, includes 5 attorneys, an ASC-certified automotive expert, a building trades specialist, and 3 investigators who are bilingual in Spanish. And the office has a robust group of volunteers, 16 at last count.
I have been a volunteer at the office for about 2 years now. I love that I feel useful. I love that every time the phone rings, I don't know what the call on the other side is going to be about. I love that I'm learning as I'm helping other people. I had no idea the amount of resources that were available through the county. Part of my interest in volunteering in the office was the fact that my background is one of having been a lawyer for many years before starting my family. What you're doing. Hold on just one second. You're welcome. It gives me an opportunity to use my brain a little bit more. It gives me an opportunity to feel like I'm helping people in a way that I did when I was employed.
I got involved here about a year ago. I've always done a fair amount of volunteer work, and as my real work has kind of slowed down, I had more time on my hands and was looking for something meaty to get involved in, something that I could use my business and legal skills. And I've often thought that the average person doesn't have the perseverance, the time, and maybe in some situations the skills to fight their way up through the morass of customer service people until they find someone who can really address their complaint and was willing to listen to their complaint. So it seemed to me that I could be helpful to people in that regard, and I came in and interviewed here at OCP, and it seemed like a really good fit. And as I said, I've been doing it for about a year. It's been very, very satisfying. I've had a lot of interesting cases, and some get away. But it's been overall a very satisfying experience.
Even investigators who have retired from the office come back to help.
I was an investigator with Montgomery County Consumer Protection for 28 years. I've been retired now for a couple of years, and I continue to come into the office to lend a hand, see my friends, and do what I always did, which was to help the community. And this is my chance to give some back. The staff, the people that work here are nice people. I enjoyed working with them when I was here working for the county professionally. I still like these people, and I like being able to help them. Where else can you get help like that for the price of lunch?
I like helping out at the Office of Consumer Protection, helping the investigators with cases. I worked here as an investigator for almost 30 years. The expertise and knowledge has not gone away, and it's a lot of fun working with these folks and helping our taxpayers.
What we're doing is we're trying the merits of the case.
When you call the Consumer Protection Office, you get a real person who will take the information and process it immediately. The staff prides itself on moving quickly, since many of the cases are time-sensitive.
And they can be difficult to resolve.
Yes, there was a foreclosure on my home, and the bank sold the loan to another company. And they persistently called and called in the morning, they called in the evening, tried for 6 months before to get a modification. And when that failed, I had to come to protection, and they demanded the bank to take back the loan from the company that they had assigned to collect it. Yes, a very timely manner. It was a matter of 2 weeks, and they returned the call and solved the problem.
OCP also provides LEP, Limited English Proficiency, access. This allows the office to serve people who speak languages other than English. What people may not realize is that many consumer cases involve the police, courtrooms, and judges. OCP issues civil citations and subpoenas, executes settlement agreements, conducts administrative hearings, and initiates legal action through the county attorney.
Starting last October, I began to piece together a plan for remodeling my basement. So I started researching contractors to hire and getting different contractors' bids. And so we signed a contract in December, and he began the work about a week or so after that. And it was supposed to be just a few weeks long project, although it was a pretty extensive amount of work. It involved cutting holes in the poured concrete walls of our basement to install windows. There was plumbing work, there was electrical work, drywall work, putting up of walls, things like that. So long story short, he took my money and he didn't complete the project. So I contacted the Office of Consumer Protection, and they had an investigator get back in touch with me. He collected from me the contract, the diagrams of the work, all of the communications between the two of us, receipts, and photos that I had of the work that was incomplete or done incorrectly, or not complete at all. And whatever he did in terms of putting together a case, and I received notice to come to court. They proponed the case, and I was able to speak for a minute. And in the end, because the contractor had not had the appropriate license and because of the lack of completion and so forth, I was awarded all the money that I had paid him.
Outreach is a huge part of the OCP mission. There's always a new scam that's being perpetrated, a product safety missive, or a business alert. News releases, Alert Montgomery, and Twitter updates from the Consumer Protection Office get the word out. Representatives from the office also appear regularly on local radio and television, including WTOP, NPR, and NBC.
What the ads promise, comparison shopping is challenging.
The bottom line is you cannot comparison shop by comparing names of mattresses.
But huge ads claim shopping around for mattresses does save you money.
Each month, the office teams up with the Montgomery County Council to produce a cable television show that's available locally, as well as on YouTube and the OCP website. The website, in fact, contains lots of information for residents, like finding out how many complaints have been filed against a business, or what Maryland law applies in a particular case. The staffers also take their show on the road, organizing public forums at civic centers, schools, libraries, senior housing centers, and more. They often team up with state and federal consumer protection offices. Seniors are a vulnerable group, and OCP works hard to reach them.
A few years ago, my family signed up to go on a group tour with a school group. And they took an educational tour company. We paid the money. They canceled the tour. They said they didn't have enough people. But they refused to give us back all of our money, saying some of it was a, quote, membership fee. And I got nowhere fighting it myself. So I called, and Eric took it on, and Eric worked on it just unceasingly until he got us every single penny back.
So in addition to helping consumers solve complaints and educating the public, OCP offers even more. It staffs the Commission on Common Ownership Communities. This commission handles disputes between residents and their condominium or homeowners associations.
She has filed an opposition to this case.
It also provides information for the associations on how to run an election or meeting, how to enforce HOA rules and regulations, and generally how to solve problems. OCP administers several laws concerning property tax disclosure.
For example, there's one law regarding estimated property tax disclosures that's designed to ensure that the seller of a home doesn't misrepresent what the property taxes are to a potential purchaser. By going to our website, sellers of homes can find out what the correct property tax value is when they disclose it to potential purchasers, so that they are not misrepresenting what the taxes will be.
And finally, Consumer Protection is responsible for licensing and registering certain businesses: car repair, towing companies, new home builders, radio, TV, and appliance installation and repair firms, and second-hand property dealers, which include consignment shops, pawn shops, gold sellers, and antique stores. The Montgomery County Office of Consumer Protection is an award-winning agency. Its services are available to county residents, business owners, and anybody doing business in the county. There is no cost to file a consumer complaint, and most of the services are free of charge.
We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We're also available on the internet 24 hours a day via email and our webpage. And if you're interested in volunteering at OCP, please call our volunteer coordinator, Lorena Bailey, at 240-777-3781.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who do something, the people who take action, are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making Home Affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
Now that you've discovered Montgomery County's Office of Consumer Protection, let's get some news you can use from each of our investigators. My tip of the day is to urge you to contact our office. We have a dedicated team of investigators and volunteers that are experts in consumer law, certified automotive mechanics, and experts in construction and many other issues.
Yeah, my specialty in the office is the unlicensed contractors. I get the home improvement complaints. And I'll just give you an example here. We do home improvement, and here's a book of the tree people that we refer to as the woodchucks. Most of them are from Virginia, and we have picture after picture of them that have come from our cases. They, if they hit enough doors, they get the old folks are home, and they talk them into doing some tree work, and then they rip them off. And then they come back and rip them off for home improvement, and then they share the information with all their friends over in Virginia, and then they all come over for home improvement, any other kind of solicitation. And you don't want to do business with anybody that's soliciting door-to-door, home improvement or tree work. You got to verify that they have a license, and it's just imperative.
I'm going to talk to you about gift cards. My tip is, if you receive one, use it immediately. Why? The store may go out of business. Also, some cards have fees that are deducted each month, even if you don't use them. Luckily, the state of Maryland has laws protecting consumers, but not all states do.
One of my areas of expertise here at the office is I deal with all our moving complaints. Now, Maryland has its own moving statute, the Household Good Movers Act, which was recently amended to help consumers. Now movers are going to be required on a Maryland move, in other words, a move within the state of Maryland from, say, Gaithersburg to Rockville. They're going to be required to give you an estimate. Or you can waive your right to that estimate, but there's a requirement now that they have to give you one, and they also have to tell you whether it's binding or non-binding. So you will know up front, if you get an estimate, whether it's pretty solid. And, you're not going to be surprised at the end of the day where they come in and say, oh, your original estimate was $1,000 and now it's $2,000 for your move, that it's doubled. So hopefully it will end those type of complaints for consumers here in Maryland. And when a mover gives you a moving estimate, they need to tell you whether it's binding or non-binding. A binding estimate, they cannot exceed. That's the price of the move. If you get a non-binding estimate, they're not allowed to exceed that by more than 25%.
Today I'm going to talk about the 3-day right of cancellation, also known as the cooling off period. Many people believe that you have 3 days to cancel a contract. That is simply not true. In Maryland, we have certain laws that provide a 3-day cancellation period for specific types of contracts. Examples of these laws include the Door-to-Door Sales Act, which allows you to cancel a contract when they come door to door, or you enter into a contract at a place other than the merchant's normal place of business. A second type of law that allows you to cancel a contract is a health club membership. If you enter into a contract for at least 3 months, you do have 3 days to cancel a contract. The most common type of contract that we see here at the office is the home improvement contract, where the law allows you to cancel a contract, again, within 3 days. You do not have 3 days to change your mind about the purchase of a car. And most importantly, the best thing that you can do is do not sign a contract until you are certain about your decision.
Did you know that the Maryland legislature passed a new law that prohibits the sale of precious metals objects at residential homes? Gold parties, as we refer to them, are illegal in Maryland. Unless the items are exclusively owned by the residential owner, in other words, inviting people to come to your home in order to sell their gold is illegal. The purpose of this law is to prevent people who have possibly stolen items reselling them at your home during these gold parties.
My tip for you is that good paper makes good friends. Make sure you keep copies of all of your receipts, contracts, warranties, and any other documentation, and keep it in a place where you're going to be able to find it easily.
But you don't have any proof that you bought it from Best Buy.
Without the proper documentation, you may not even be able to prove that you purchased something from a particular store or paid someone to perform work for you. We get these kinds of complaints all the time.
My assignment is to deal with disputes involving homeowner associations and condominium associations. The county has a special agency that regulates these associations. At least a third of the people in Montgomery County now live in homeowner associations or condominium associations. But they did not grow up in these associations and they're not used to them. Once you are in a homeowner association or a condominium association, there are rules for you that you have to obey, and these rules are legally binding. Perhaps the most common problem that county residents have in these associations is they're not used to having to get permission to make changes to their property. They want to put up a fence, a shed, a statue, a swimming pool, whatever. This kind of thing is very much regulated by associations, and you can save yourself a lot of trouble and money by finding out what is the procedure to get permission to do the kind of changes you would like to do.
My specialty here in the Office of Consumer Protection is automotive, and my suggestion is find the owner's manual that came with your vehicle, read it, paying particular attention to checking the oil and checking the air pressure in your tires, which should be done on a weekly basis. If you don't have the owner's manual, contact the manufacturer. Most will provide one at a nominal charge.
Got a consumer problem? Not sure how to proceed? The first step is to contact the representative, manager, or the owner of the company to discuss your complaint and to give them an opportunity to resolve it. Prior to making a formal complaint, if you're complaining to a larger company, you would deal with the customer representative. If you're dealing with a smaller company, you will deal with either the manager or the owner of the company. If that doesn't work, then contact the Office of Consumer Protection.
In Montgomery County?
It is illegal for debt collectors to call with a known frequency. Consumers have the right to request in writing that debt collectors stop contacting them. Frequency shouldn't be more than 2 or 3 calls a day, and not before 9 a.m. and not after 9 p.m.
In addition to enforcing the consumer protection laws in Montgomery County, the Office of Consumer Protection is also involved in energy and environmental advocacy. There are many financial incentives currently available from local, state, and federal sources for consumers interested in upgrading their homes to improve comfort, reduce energy costs, and even boost long-term home value. For more information, go to the Montgomery County Department of Environmental Protection's website at montgomerycountymd.gov/DEP, click on Energy, then click on Financial Incentives.
Many of the complaints we receive here is regarding towing. Property owners are required to post signs for towing. Before you park, make sure you find and read the sign.
Well, that's it for this episode of Consumer Compass. I'm Eric Friedman. Thanks for watching, and for more information, check out our website, www.montgomerycountymd.gov/consumer.